everybody, here I am again, Grandmaster Sofika Gramishvili for Ch04. Today our video will be about Decoy. We'll see a lot of interesting examples and I hope you're gonna enjoy it. And of course learn a lot of things. We have the game Mafang against Alyohin and the position is pretty complicated. White threatens the queen on c2. But also other pieces of white, for example the knight on g5 is under attack. The logical queen b2 doesn't give anything to black because white simply takes rook c8 and black is forced to take bishop c8 because if knight takes c8 to win the tempo and attack the rook on a7, then white has a counterattack with knight e6. We see that the bishop on d7 is pinned, so bishop e6 is pretty impossible because of rook g7. Knight e6, queen b1 doesn't give anything because after bishop c1 white just covers the back rank, and if knight a7, simple knight g7. So after rook c8, bishop c8 and knight f3 the position is pretty equal. But in this position, black came up with very interesting and winning idea. It is not just to move the queen from attack, but to counterattack and decoy the piece on f4. f4. So after queen f4, it is clear that black takes hg5, which happened in the game, with tempo, and if rook c2, simple g takes f4, rook c8 and knight c8 left black with extra piece. White also did not have anything better after f4, because if queen e2, then black simply takes the rook on c1, queen c1, bishop c1, rook c1, king has to move to g2, and black takes another piece on g5 with check, rook g5, and king has to go on h3, because if king f3, after rook c3, king f4, there is a beautiful mate, knight g6, and if king h3, rook c3, f3 and knight f5 is completely winning for black. Let's see another example, and I think this is very beautiful example and I like it very much, so I hope you're gonna enjoy it too. White has an extra rook and a huge threat of mate with queen g7. So black is really in trouble and has to do something emergency. There is a very nice idea that if black queen and rook changed its places, for example, queen was on g1 and rook was on h1, then black would have mate in 2 with g5, and if f takes g5, queen takes g5. So this gives black an idea to do something with rook g4. Is it a blunder? Of course not. It is a sacrifice which leads to a win. Hg is not possible because the pawn on h3 is pinned, so only move is king g4, queen g2, king h4, and g5. This is all forced, so after f takes g5, queen takes g5, I think it's a very beautiful mate. Let's see another example, and this is the game of Lasker against Ava. We have a endgame. The knight on c4 is under attack, but we have to pay attention on our knight on e1 also, because if simple king c4, then bishop e1 and the game is pretty equal. So Lasker here came up with a winning move. Can you see it? I hope you solved the example and exercise. So after b4, to force the bishop to be on the square that is very bad for him, after bishop b4, for example, because if black simply goes bishop somewhere else to c7, then white takes the knight on c4 and has an extra piece. So after b4, bishop b4 is forced, and white did not do the move b4 to take the knight on c4, because bishop e1, and again the position now is not equal, but better for black because they have a pawn. But b4 was made for knight c2. Now there is double attack on b4 bishop and c4 knight. So black loses the material after bishop d2, which was played in the game. Other moves like bishop d6 or any other defense of the bishop on d4. White just takes the knight on c4 and has an extra piece with winning position. Bishop d2 was played in the game, hoping that white would take the knight on c4, which is actually bad because our bishop on c1 is also attacked, so after bishop c1, black has a good position. So after bishop d2, black cannot take knight d2, king d2, and white simply has an extra piece, so he tried to give a check. King e2, king d5, sorry. And it was very easy for white to win the game because there is an extra piece and black does not have any counterplay, so after bishop c1, knight c4, king d4, king d3, knight b6, simple check, knight e3, king e6. I will go through the game very quickly. Knight c4, knight c8, knight a5, knight d6 and bishop f4. Black resigned here because he cannot protect everything. The b7 pawn and the c6 pawn is under attack in case of b6, and the knight on d6 is also under attack with bishop on f4. I hope you're enjoying the examples and looking forward for part 2. See you soon!